Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I am here with a brand new franchise ranking. And this franchise ranking is going to be for a Disney franchise. And it's for one that was made around the 90s, and it's a franchise based off one of the films in the Disney Renaissance. And the one I'm doing is literally, well, we're going to go right to the Pride Lands. And for this franchise ranking, it'll be looking into the Great Circle of Life. Yes, guys, today's franchise ranking is the Lion King films, and I'm ranking all 4 films, including the remake. Yeah, the shitty remake. But with that being said, guys, let's get started, and it's going to be a best to worst one this time, and it's going to be done more like Lucas Prime's franchise rankings for this one. So we're going to start with what is obviously the number 1 best. Kicking off with what is obviously my number 1 favorite, that is obviously going to be the 1994 version of the first Lion King movie. Now, is it obvious when I call this the best animated film of all time and Disney's best animated movie ever made? No, not really. I mean, I love everything about this movie, from the animation, the voice acting, the story, everything. The story is something that everyone can relate to, because the story is that Simba's destined to become a king one day and just can't wait to rule the throne. And everyone can relate to wanting to grow up and become an adult and to do whatever they want and not have to worry about anything. And his father tries to teach him that despite the fact that he'll one day be grown and king, life's not going to be easy. And Simba has to learn his lesson the hard way when his uncle Scar, who too wants the throne, kills his father and convinces Simba that it was his fault. And suddenly, growing up doesn't seem so great anymore. And so Simba flees his home and comes across 2 other outcasts named Timon and Pumbaa. They teach Simba the Hakuna Matata lifestyle, and something that idolizes a life free of stress, worry, or responsibility. Now, is sometimes we kind of wish we could live this way and having no worries for the rest of our days. But then when Simba's child friend Nala returns, he realizes he can't live Hakuna Matata forever, for he does have a responsibility to his pride and his homeland. And Simba understands that he must grow up and does what's right. Not only just that, the songs are also catchy and fit the movie very well. And of course, so there's the great songs easily. The best songs to me in this movie are The Circle of Life, Hakuna Matata, and Be Prepared. The score is also haunting and beautiful, and along with the artwork, the music captures the heart of Africa very well. Just everything about this movie is so good, I could just watch it over and over again like in the old days. The story begins lighthearted, has a nice fun atmosphere. It's got some stereotypical characters, as always with Disney, but it's ever so unique in their own way. And as the story progresses, it gets very serious, dramatic, and sad as well. Mufasa's death, easily, will always forever be the number 1 saddest Disney moment ever. And speaking of that topic now, Scar is no doubt the best Disney villain ever. I especially love Jeremy Irons' voice acting for the character. The other voice actors are terrific. Jonathan Taylor Thomas brings a large dose of innocence to young Simba. He's mischievous, but also terribly naive, and his older counterpart, who is voiced by Matthew Broderick, equals him. He's older, but no less mature. The voices are similar, and it's almost impossible not to believe that they're the same character at different ages. And perhaps no one could have been better suited for the role of Mufasa than the legend himself, James Earl Jones. His voice gives Mufasa the quality of great power and wisdom. There's definitely no question in this role as king. And that Scar, Jeremy Irons is definitely very perfect, and the drawing of the character is villainous, but Irons' vocal work complements the animation to create one of the most memorable and vicious villains in Disney history. He's unquestionably evil, but he's also clever, and that makes him all the more dangerous. And provides a much-needed comic relief for the chemistry between Nathan Lane, Ernest Avalos, Timon, and Pumbaa, aka the meerkat and warhawk that Simba meets about friends during his banishment, and Rowan Atkinson as Zazu. And there's some definite fun from these characters. Neither the actors nor the filmmakers allow them to go over the top and destroy the mood for the film. The Lion King, no doubt. I don't have much bad qualities for Lion King, so I would give it a very full-blown 10 out of 10. That was an obvious score coming into this. It's very obvious. Kicking off in what would have to be second place would have to be the first follow-up this movie got, The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Now, yeah, it's not as good as the first film, but I still think it's actually the best of the direct-to-DVD Disney sequels, that's for sure. And honestly, I feel like if this movie had a bit more development, this could have actually worked as a theatrical release instead of Peter Pan 2 or Jungle Book 2, which were actually really bad Disney sequels that somehow got the theater release. I'm sure we all agree that a lot of Disney sequels, be they theatrical or direct-to-video, have a bad rep for failing in charm, good plot, decent dialogue, and memorable songs. As the originals, like, the only exception I can think of that works for animated sequels is The Rescuers Down Under, and that's pretty much it. But I honestly think The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride manages to hold account to its predecessor to some degree. Whereas the first Lion King movie is based off Shakespeare's Hamlet, this movie kind of continues the tradition of being based off Shakespeare by literally being based off similar to the Romeo and Juliet storyline. And involves Simba's daughter Kiara and Kovu, the latter of whom was raised by lions known as the Outsiders, who were banished from the Pride Lands for being loyal to Scar. Our new villain in this movie, Kovu's mother Zira, trains Kovu to usurp Simba. But Kovu strays away from him when he and Kiara fall in love with each other, and it's fairly well done with an equally good moral. And what I did love is that the original cast actually does come back to this one, which is very nice, although sadly, except for Rowan Atkinson and Zazu, who this time was replaced by Edward Hubert, who didn't do too bad, but I kind of wish they just kept Rowan for this one, because I feel like Rowan did a better job as Zazu, to be honest. And I did like some of the new voice actors to the addition, well, except for one I'm going to get to later that I did not. I did like, the ones I did like were Jason Marsden as Kovu, and sometimes Nev Campbell as Kiara. There were some times Kiara did annoy me, I'll get to that stuff later. And the late Shazam Plachette as Zira, rest in peace. While not widely recognized as the music and songs from the first movie, they have a charm of their own. And on the other hand, like, I don't know why that Sonya Penny even received some flack, since, like the other songs, I think it does best to serve its purpose to the story very well. I think this story's writers had their heart in it, and they made it believable. And now the thing is, like, I don't really like that that there's some people that actually criticize Simba as being out of character, but he really is not. Like, if you really bother to think of everything that happened to him for a very young age and the way he spent most of his life, so everything that was shown in the first film, the way he is in the sequel is actually realistic, and just about the only way it could be. And I appreciate that they turned the Generalist Cup from the first production into a daughter instead of a son, because we all, like, trying, like it just kind of just makes has a more unique twist, and is trying to raise a child of the opposite gender, seeing to himself, which would be a bit of a challenge to any parent. And Kiara, with her personality, has new blood offered to the line of rulers, and I do love that there's some struggles between her personality as a future ruler herself at such a young age, and try to figure out if she can be both in one. Now, when it comes to the bad qualities of this movie, like the first big one, I hate how this movie forcefully victimizes Simba as a jerk. When if you've watched the first one, he has many good reasons like not to trust Kovu the Outsiders, because they come from a pack of lions that literally worshipped Scar, a lion that starved his pride, killed Mufasa, caused the Pride Lands to go into a drought, and caused more hell to the Pride Lands by letting the hyenas in. And somehow these lions want to call Scar a good king. And I feel like there's just some times when Kiara's just a little bit unlikable. Specifically in the scene where Kovu gets blamed for the ambush on Simba, and Kiara seems to be more upset about him getting banished than her own dad almost dying in it. And don't even get me started on the scene where she tells Simba, "You'll never be Mufasa." Like, oh my god, your dad almost died in an ambush caused by Kovu's pack, and you're more upset about Kovu getting banished? Are you fucking serious? Yeah, I get it's not Kovu. I get the ambush wasn't Kovu's fault, guys. But Kovu, like, as soon as Kovu started abandoning Zira's plan, he should have expected Zira to show up the minute he was alone with Simba. He really should have expected that. And should have just came on us quicker. And plus, I even feel like Kovu was kind of being stupid to try to actually go back to the Pride Lands and think Simba was going to easily forgive him when he returned. Like, really should not have expected that to happen. And look, I'm going to get hate for this, but I don't care. And final bad quality I do have, it also stars an actor I've lost respect for, and that's the voice actor for Nuka, Andy Dick! Like, if you want to know why, like, before I lost respect for Andy Dick, Nuka was my favorite voice role of his, but now I've just lost respect for him now, after knowing all the bad things he's done. I really don't think I can really praise him anymore. And and when it comes to that Line Guard show, they didn't even recast him either. like guys, if you want to know why I lost respect for Andy Dick, is because he's done many gross things. I can list maybe a few things out of like some of his notorious stuff is he grabbed an Uber driver's crotch, and he actually pulled his pants down at a McDonald's. He pulled his pants down at a comedy routine stage. He's done a lot of gross things. I don't want to list all the stuff he's done because some of the stuff he does is just really disgusting to mention on this channel. But if you want to know what he's done, go look on Wikipedia for yourselves. That will be your proof. Other than those, The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride, it's still a good sequel, and it's actually could be considered a good epilogue and other half of the first film if you watch both of them back to back. And for the Simba's Pride, I'm going to give Simba's Pride a 7.5 out of 10. Now, kicking off at number 3, or third place, is ironically the third installment of the series, and of course, the spin-off of the series, or spin-off slash prequel of the series, The Lion King 1.5. Now, if I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm a little more mixed on this one. Like, it's not terrible. It's certainly better than the next film I'm going to get to in this series. Like, once again, the things I liked were the voice cast is back, and I still like Nathan Lane or Isabel's chemistry as Timon and Pumbaa. And the things I also did like for this movie are that I liked that it was nice to see a backstory to Timon and Pumbaa and how they met. And I also like that we get some more scenes of Timon and Pumbaa's time with Simba. This one during his banishment, and it was also nice to see the high-end trio Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed back in this one again. And when it comes to the new voice actors, I did like Julie Kavner as the voice of Timon's mom, and I didn't mind Jerry Stiller as Uncle Max, and I also did enjoy the ending scene where all the Disney characters show up to rewatch the film in that theater Timon and Pumbaa are in throughout the film, which I thought was creative and humorous. And speaking of that part, guys, this movie actually, Timon and Pumbaa scenes in the theater actually literally take inspiration from Mystery Theater 3000. So I really like that this was kind of a bit of a parody of Mystery Theater 3000. This one actually kind of made some moments enjoyable at times, even though there were some moments when it wasn't really needed. Because now we get to the bad qualities of this movie. Now, for the bad qualities, I didn't really like how this one they kind of made Timon. I feel like in this one they kind of made Timon a bit of an idiot in this one. Because there's times Timon's kind of known for being arrogant, but he was never really this much at times. But this one, he basically, in the beginning, in his first scenes of his backstory, he pretty much keeps endangering his clan and almost literally gets his own uncle killed by the hyenas by goofing off and sitting on his job when he was supposed to be looking out for them. And then when he meets Pumbaa even, he doesn't really seem to treat him as a friend. He seems to treat him more as an acquaintance. This movie even also caused quite a few plot holes. In the first one, Timon didn't even know who Rafiki was. In this one, Timon suddenly meets Rafiki, and now suddenly seems to know who he is. But in the first one, he never even knew who he was, and somehow it kind of shows that Rafiki's the one who taught the Hakuna Matata phrase, even though in the first one it was clear Timon and Pumbaa invented the phrase themselves. I'm not saying the movie was bad exactly. It has some chuckling moments, and as a standalone, it isn't bad, but there are some things that kind of just ruins the iconic stuff of the original movie here. Just provides with a few laughs. The biggest pet peeve I had with all the plot holes here, the amazing epic opening scene of the first movie with the Circle of Life, as baby Simba's being presented to the animals and they all bow. Guess what, guys? In this version, the animals bow because of a bloody fucking fart joke. In this scene, we find out Pumbaa's not good with crowds, but Timon makes him go through it anyway, and pulls him by his tail, which then causes him to fart, and some of the animals literally pass out, and some animals that aren't even near it see them passing out and think they're bowing, so they decide to bow down too. Are you seriously having a laugh right now? That just made the whole epic one of Disney's best opening scenes a joke. And also, the Can You Feel Love Tonight sequence kind of also nearly gets ruined here, because the romantic... In that sequence, it's when Simba and Nala start to fall in love, but Timon and Pumbaa keep trying to sabotage it. And somehow, When Simba and Nala roll down the hill, how are they even there? Like, during the whole sequence, they were in the bushes literally watching, sadly watching Simba fall in love, and then is thinking that their pal is doomed. Literally, they were in the bushes the whole time. They weren't even rolling near them. So, and plus they literally tripped and rolled down the hill themselves. In the actual movie, it was clear that they caused that themselves. It just like it's kind of the things I don't like about this film. It just there's some scenes that are great in the first one, and they just kind of ruin them just to make them funny. Like, and also the other plot hole it causes was the ending fights, where the hyenas find Timon and Pumbaa when they were. How would they even know they were there if they were literally up watching Scar betray them and trying to pass the Foss's death blame onto them? Like, I can understand like maybe when the hyenas fall down that hole for their defeat, maybe that was how they ended up in Pride. Maybe that's how they ended up at the bottom of Pride Rock, and probably how they met Scar at the bottom of Pride Rock and killed him. But they could have literally just showed them backing away, and on their way down to kill Scar, maybe then they bumped into Timon and Pumbaa and decided to eat them first. Like, that would have made more sense. But now, guys, I'm not saying it's a terrible movie. There's some things I like about it, but there's some things I don't. So I'm more mixed on it. And I would honestly have to give this one a 5.5 out of 10. But that being said, though, it's still better than what comes next. Because kicking off at number 4, the bottom worst, is gonna be The Lion King 2019! Oh my god. I have never ever seen a Disney remake this soulless in my life. Like, how the fuck did this even make $1 billion at the box office? This film was an utter insult to my favorite Disney film of all time. It betrays everything good about the original, and it's like they literally only had Jon Favreau come back and direct this one because he was successful with The Jungle Book. The characters in this one, even if it was live action, if they couldn't, they have no facial expressions. So in the original, if you just turn off the sound, and you'd still be able to understand what's going on, as the body language and facial expressions were a big part of what brought these characters to life. Like, in this new film, Simba looks like a real lion, and similar to a real lion, he has zero facial emotion. And it's true for all the characters. And the voice acting in this one, oh my god. The voice acting in this one is horrible. The worst example being being Scar's new voice actor. He can't even hold the candle to the greatest Jeremy Irons had for him. Like, and even James Earl Jones gets brought back to voice Mufasa. But even this one, it sounds like James Earl Jones was just bored. This one, so it wouldn't matter. And some of these voice actors I like in other things, well, except for one of them. In other things, but they just don't have the charm of the characters in the original here. Like, just everyone talks unemotional and slow. Like, these actors, I bet they were probably told in production to actually act like that, because it would have looked weird for these animals to move their mouths so fast. Like, they really just talk half the speed and have odd pauses in their dialogue, and the emotion's gone entirely. Like, since this was like a shot-for-shot remake, like, why didn't they just reuse what they recorded in the 90s and had all the original voice actors come back for their roles? That would have made more sense. Like, literally. And they literally could have just had them record all the new scenes that get added. Because there's not even live action human beings in this movie. So it wouldn't really make a difference. And if it's a shot-for-shot remake, it further wouldn't make a difference. Because this is literally still the same exact movie. Except just done horribly wrong. And the clever jokes and the small changes, they're not even in this movie. Because the characters talk slowly, that they can't even say that much. And all the small jokes and clever exchanges get left out. Some get kept in, but they fall flat as the timing gets off. Like, for instance, when in the original Simba and Nala go to the elephant graveyard, and the hyenas get introduced. They have all these fun exchanges, and they're literally left out in this movie. Instead, in this version, you get two hyenas that are not even funny. And guess what, guys? They literally renamed two of the hyenas, Bonsai and Ed. They get swapped to names I barely remember, and they're not even that great names at all. And the songs in this one, they are ruined. Most of the original songs are kept, but in the original movie, the songs bend real physics in reality to give like an expressive montage that's visually stunning. In this one, they just walk or jog for a little bit, and then a few other animals might appear. That's about it. And like literally, you know one of Disney's best songs, Be Prepared? They take it out and replace it with a dumb speech version of it. Like, no, like, apparently Favreau was forced to take out Be Prepared because it resembled too much Nazism, because this was a time Disney was going woke. So, that explains everything. This one, like, with the Jungle Book, it's like Favreau had creative control. This one, it's literally studio directed. It feels like it's more directed by Disney themselves. And just had Favreau do their work so that people would go see it. And also, this movie adds a new song. They literally add a Beyonce song during the scene when Simba decides to go back to the Pride Lands. And it's not even a good song. Look, I'm sorry, I do kind of like Beyonce's music, but I just thought she was a horrible choice for Nala. This one just lacked any of the good acting Nala had in the original here. Like, all the voice actors did, like, they also even made Simba so unlikable here. Like, in this one, like in the original, his arrogance was part of his character development. In this one, he barely gets any good character development. And also, they even have so many filler scenes in this one, and just to make it 2 hours, when the original was only 88 minutes long, and it was perfect that way. And it was perfect enough. Like, in the beginning scene with the mouse, you literally have to, you see the mouse for like a few seconds in the original, and then of course, in this version, you get to see a minute of it wandering through Pride Lands to get more shots. And then of course, and also, Hakuna Matata is still kind of the same, but guess what, guys? You know how one of the parts, Pumbaa's literally about to say, every time and Timon then censors him as like, Pumbaa, not in front of the kids. Oh, sorry. Guess what, guys? They literally let Pumbaa say the full thing. It's like, every time and I farted, are you gonna stop me? No, you disgust me. That was one of the worst changes ever. Like, I actually liked how in the original they censored it. It actually made it funny. This one, and also, speaking of Timon and Pumbaa, yes, guys, you already know I've lost respect for Seth Rogen, so I'm not going to mention that stuff here, but, like, I'm sorry, but him and Billy Eichner don't even have any of the charm that Nathan Lane and Ernest Sabala had. If there's one good quality I liked, maybe that's like, the only scene they did different was Scar's death. They actually did Scar's death a bit better here. And that's the only scene that feels like it was actually directed by Favreau. Whereas the rest of it is just studio directed. But all in all, guys, just screw this shitty cash grab remake. And if you're wondering what my score would be, it would be a rare -0 out of 10. Yes, guys, I think this is easily the worst Disney remake ever made. There we go. That wraps up my ranking for all 4 of the Lion King films, and if you're all wondering, aren't you going to watch that Lion Guard show? No, I have no interest in watching the Lion Guard show because they literally reveal Scar's backstory, and I think Scar works better as a character without one. And you're wondering, aren't you also going to watch the Mufasa prequel that's coming out next year? Here's my answer to that. Hell no. Because I hated the 2019 remake, and this prequel is dead on arrival. We don't need a backstory of Mufasa and Scar that's being told from Timon and Pumbaa's perspective. I think that's a horrible idea. Like, Disney is just dead to my eyes. I'm done with Disney remakes after how shitty the woke Little Mermaid remake was. So, I'm not watching that Mufasa prequel. No. And that's that. Because it is a horrible idea. But Yeah. Now, that's it for my franchise ranking. I want to know your ranking of the Lion King films in the comments below. Tell me in the comments below which one you thought was the best, which one you thought was the worst. Until then, guys, that'll be it for this ranking. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.